Yeah, they're like, Sir Major, stop talking.
Wish you could have been here
So
for
no,
my
make it
intro.
hard.
I really like the other
Remember
guy,
those
matter of
days.
fact. We'll
And
see
then
if we can
tomorrow.
redo it.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to
I
the
really
Sergeant
like
of the
this guy.
Army's
I think his work
Professional
looks good.
Development
I've seen him
Forum
on a couple
and
of
day
other
2
ones.
of the annual meeting.
Definitely, my work looks good
Alright.
around it.
I am Dan
So,
Dailies,
I like his
retired
work.
Sergeant Major of the Army.
I started with
begin
that.
by
You're all here
welcoming,
for a reason.
our
You're all been
distinguished
selected
guests,
because you're piece of
beginning
craps
with
and
our host
lazy and
today,
don't do
the
anything
16th
except for
Sergeant
me.
Major
And
of
I'm
the
about
Army,
to show you
Sergeant
how
Major of
that's
the
done.
Army,
But
Michael
it was
A.
way
Prince.
better,
Let's give him a
cooler at
big
the
round of
time.
applause.
The only merits you get in here, what you can take out of here and be useful
We have
with
several
later.
distinguished
I'm gonna
guests in
get
the
to
room
that.
today, but we can't start without recognizing our Medal of Honor recipient, Master Sergeant Leroy Petrie. Thank you for being here.
No offense, I'm going to jump, and I mean this with all due respect. I'm going to get over here to some of the models of tread dock standards being updated today's professional development forum.
Master Sergeant Petrie, thanks for being with us again.
There's a
today. Thank you.
presentation board to it. Not
I
only
don't see our
670,
former Sergeant
or
Major of the Army here
pause,
today,
or anything else in the tread
I
docs
do
that
see
we would
several
like to
distinguished guests, and I
diagnose
see a
by
lot of our
calculus today.
international
Hopefully, if
Sergeant
you
Majors of the Army. I want
correctly
to tell you that
chose
thank you for being
or
here
put
today.
out a
Your
ledger
presence means a
of
lot
what you get in
for
the,
this forum, but
in the
also
box.
for Sergeant Major of the Army Grinch.
Because again,
in the United States Army.
will credit, you showed up.
We have,
Ryan.
before we get started with our panel today, we'd like to take a brief moment for a
Right,
special presentation.
Make sure we get that.
Each year, the Association of the United
50K
States Army will
units.
award
I'm
more
breaking
than
stuff down for that scholarship. Again, it's not necessarily number 30 that's direct
national-level
Stanley's
scholarships.
rate mutants and
One of these is the
tread
Sergeant
docs
Major of the Army
models,
Leon Van Autry
but
Scholarship.
also why at the
8
moment
SMA
those
Van Autry
conceptual models
scholarships are
certain
available
STEM really
in these
important.
increments.
Throw it
One
in here.
25,000, one 10,000,
Their
one
time.
5,000, and five 2,000 scholarships that are given each year.
They'll get back to it.
Through a generous contribution from the USAA Foundation,
Now we'll get to the
the
point
SMA
where you can actually hear
Leon
him.
Van Autry.
Sergeant Major, take the mic. Okay. Thanks for being here. And really, we done this. I sat on this panel a couple years past as a force count.
So back to what is obviously
So
selected
this is the prep, right?
for,
You get the tour, all the
again, it's not
ACOMs,
just
the
that
Army National
there.
Guard, the
This
Army
is
Reserve, and tomorrow,
Association
you got
of
one
the
chance,
United
you
States
get your
Army.
one shot
So
where, we'll
a
talk,
very
and then
important
ask me all the hard
checkpoint
questions. You
brief
didn't ask those
gate,
folks today.
if you will.
So tomorrow will be
Um,
close out. for the
There's a lot of
races. We'll
M2
go
small
out
scales to
what we've
this
done,
tomorrow.
from the
Again, what
Department
you
of
walk
the
out
Army
here with,
perspective for the
how
rest
it's
of the year.
supposed to
So we'll do that. So you
much
got
more
step one,
efficiently from
shot
briefings
at
like
the
this,
ACOMs, make hard
break room
questions
meetings,
for 'em, and,
anywhere where there's a
yeah.
whiteboard
Yeah,
is
they're like,
super
"Sergeant Major,
critical.
stop talking." So no, make it hard. Remember those days. And then tomorrow.
Well, what do you want to talk about the hyperbole today? What is it in the form of a hyperbole? But
Thanks for being here.
at any rate,
I enjoy looking at
professional
other
development
forums
forums
when we roll out the
really give you
initiatives,
some special relativity to this stuff.
But before we do
Hydrogen
that,
wave function
we
can
got a
come
couple other
from it.
things we want to do. We
You
didn't
know,
do
there's
the,
a reality of
awards. Are we doing the awards first?
nuclear
Okay, good.
technology
So,
at
we got,
at a minimum,
the best
atom
soldier and
minimum,
the NCO of
is
the year.
change
We
in
didn't present
fields,
their,
which
meritorious
should be
service
familiar
medals, so we
to
wanna bring them
other
up. So please come on up.
conversations that you
we're gonna
might
do those awards.
read by this
You may
breadboard's
say attention
logic
orders, that's
a little
attention
different.
means bring your
Um,
attention to the order, please stay seated.
Again, it seems
when we
easy
do this,
enough.
I don't want anybody hurting
You
anybody.
all are exposed
Okay,
to
and then, we're gonna
information,
do
the
one other
reality of
event
the
before we
gap
go.
between
Okay,
A
go
to
ahead,
B
publish orders.
For
is
exceptionally meritorious
not just
achievement during the 2021
civilian,
Best
but
Warrior
ranges of
competition, the following
E2
soldiers are
through
awarded the
E8
Meritorious
that
Service
could
Medal.
say blind
Specialist
studies is a
Justin
calculus
Bernhardt
wave function. We
and
find out
Sergeant
that that thing is
Adam
a drunkard
Crowley.
walk problem on a
For their
hydrogen
ability to
thing.
perform under the most
That's what that
challenging
is.
conditions
Easiest
set them
and
apart
of
from more
best
than 1
ways to
million
do that
soldiers
is at the
serving in the Army
millimeter.
today.
But these
Their
all
commitment
things
to
share
the
in
Army
common
values
change in
and
field
embodiment of the
are
warrior
the vector
ethos
positions,
and remarkable
and
soldier
they're within a
skills that led
bandwidth
to the
of what they
success of
are.
this monumental event.
Unfortunately, as much
Their
as they'd like to
leadership
think
reflects
marginally
distinct
minor
credit
better than
upon
each other,
themselves, the
hang on, you
United
guys are
States
doing
Army,
fantastic. You're
and the
doing
United
well
States
on the heat. Changing field this way or changing field that way. They should be able to graph on side of an index of what your class is, right? And hopefully this calculus is played true throughout the entirety of what happens. And generally, because of the form, we can agree with what that is. So we give these medals and kind of cost differentials because they're a little bit more appropriate in terms of the value to do a thing than other things. It's a way to deal with discrimination and gravity and a few other Marxisms, capitalism functions to idealize what the photon of this measurement in Planck's might look like by the polarizing wave function. Because somebody would say something, you'd say, well, there's graphs for that. That's how you tell, because it's the long index. It's a very hard thing to understand because without actually tracking things like long term, very detrimental. Now, again, mostly for the compromisation, you'd understand why at this level or
You just
speed,
always
concept,
know for all
causally,
the senior
Andromeda
sergeant majors,
paradox.
especially the old gray
Useful.
hairs up front. It's good. They're all
We
going
should
gray
know
like
those
I am. I'm going
things.
bald too.
So will
When
it
you look at
continue?
these two, you know the future of our army is in
I'd be
great
looking for
hands.
blanks.
When you just look at these two soldiers, if you hadn't had a chance to talk to them, I think you should. They're incredible soldiers and NCOs, and I'm very proud of them. So please get a chance to talk to them as a
50K in a
So
notebook
we're at
can
the
go a long
barbecue
way,
the
guys.
other night, Friday night, and
An award, letting
we got
somebody
Peyote.
know that they're being
Peyote.
recognized for the
So
distance and
Specialist
trajectory
Peyote
of those
says,
things go a
"Major,
long
I make
way.
cutoff. I'd like to get promoted. I'd like you to promote me." And I'm
The
like,
reality
"Sure."
of gravity
So there you go.
can predict
So,
that model
he's
by
made
cost
cutoff
and
for
ratios, and
probably a while
regardless,
now,
heat
but,
vex, change the
just
tank,
been going through the competition, being a good
AC
soldier.
out,
And when he asked me,
5
he said,
sigma,
"Hey, can we do a
costs,
promotion?" I thought,
cross the
what a
line,
better
jump the
forum
tens
to
rail.
do it at the NCO forum.
A few, I'm saying big words
where
to
we're
you.
going to bring up the most
I have-
senior sergeant majors, the most senior NCOs in the Army, and then we're going to promote the junior NCO.
You watch
you know,
enough
like brand new. So
leadership
the NCO forum,
conversations,
you
you
can't let you sit
studied
here as a
NCO
specialist.
Credo,
So,
you done land nav,
I
OP
really appreciate
briefs.
you asking me to do this. It's
If you're gonna do the cyber games for the simulating models, the breadboard when it's all spread out on the cell phone, wires everywhere is meta. It's a good way to be able to functionally work out the models
Secretary
in
of the
that.
Army has
General
reposed
to
special
special
trust and
relativity,
confidence in the patriotism,
obviously
valor,
Feynman
fidelity,
diagrams to
professional
diodes
excellence
and
of
switches.
Seth Peyote. In view
They
of these
correlate
qualities and
again
demonstrated leadership
certain
potential and dedicated
applications
service
to the
the
limits we
United
see
States
today.
Army,
They
he
are
is therefore
congruent with
promoted
those
from
things.
specialist
Packing in the
to sergeant.
circuitry, the barracks, the NP problem is not just field theories and students, but also what students hold which functions and why the entropy of their common right-hand rules that be accepted under those ideas to also reflect back on the model. We need them to have posted a soldier, not president right now, and there's sensible timelines of that, but gonna be in Delta, change, muon, mu, d, whatever. Can make certain differences. And this is great. And don't get me wrong, there's reasons why you definitely need these types of situational models, because it lets people know who and what mathematics or study line to track right now for Mario Speedrun. A bit of gravity. Here's the hard line. The world record run is this. Queen's Derby.
Okay, the day's
Special
done.
Forces.
Right there, I'm happy. It's like right there.
That's
You
your
awards
frame
out,
rate.
do a promotion
That's your
to
timetable.
sergeant. I couldn't be more proud of everything that you
But
do.
again, that's
I
gonna
could
be tough
proud
with
to be
merits
with you
and-
today, and then,
and
I'll do
equality
a
or,
wonderful presentation tomorrow. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start.
Well,
Roger.
for us, again, remember, it doesn't matter because the same result in the area of the bandwidth should be the result of the process.
Good morning.
Panel members, if you would come on the stage, please.
I would just say when the SMA was the force comm sergeant major, he never started off with please
This-
pummel me with hard questions.
In the beginning, there was functional analysis. Okay? X and Y's, I'm going to
It's
change
gonna-
this
it's gonna be
into
on
a
this
1
side,
to
by the
2
way.
or whatever I want. And move
Okay,
around the
this morning,
chalkboard because I'm going to
the
show you
theme of the-
class that safety
the panel
skid
today
steer. We're
will
going to
be
hit that
in
on
support of
blast,
SMAs
moving it
and some of
causal
its
like you
initiatives in
kids
the
run.
United States Army.
I'm going to
So
show
it's
you some
building
things,
readiness
guys
to
up and down on the
cohesive teams.
chalkboard,
We have
changing
5 of
things,
the
jumping
most
around
senior sergeant
pages,
majors in the
banging
Army
around, spin mass
today
direction,
that
and
will,
moving in
give
and
you a
out
brief
today
introduction
for
on
tomorrow
how
and
they
all
play a
other
role
that
in
might
this,
stretch.
and then
Have
we
to
will
pay
go
attention
to
to it.
questions and answers.
Inside here about
There are
Fermilab
5 by 8
videos,
cards
some of the
littered
computations.
around the,
Again, it's not
the
just a
chairs, what
picture.
have you. I
This
ask
is a
you,
class,
as the
and I'll show
question
you what I'm
comes up, go
talking
ahead
about
and
in a
write it
minute
out,
for
and
NCO
then
training.
bring it up, and
Is
we'll
it ball and
take
air, ball and water,
from
ball and
there.
floor, ammonia
So, to the
acid?
far right,
Aristotle and
to your
common
far
sense
left,
physics
is Command
about the
Sergeant
changing
Dan Hendricks,
fields of
Radar Command.
alphas over their
Then,
distance.
Sergeant Major Al
Essentially,
Delgado,
this is your
Army
balls.
Material Command. Sergeant Major Todd Sims,
Okay, fair enough.
Forces Command.
It's the spin of this
Sergeant
thing,
Major
how you deal with the
Sampa,
graduated
Army
cylinder
National
bar
Guard,
at the bar,
and Sergeant Major
right? You're going to
Lombardo,
factor that by
United States Army Reserve.
milliliters.
So we're going to open
Yeah, eating
discussion right now with,
systems
Sergeant Major
down to the quantum limit at a
Team,
minimum.
good morning,
Hydrogen
Mr.
wave
Mayor. Appreciate
function.
the opportunity. I am
Okay, you're going to hit this system inside here, the photon and the apple. You're going to run the system inside the land nav, Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp Lejeune, chemistry, engineering, mathematics, computer engineering. Well, you'll understand here in a minute which way this thing's flowing. Doesn't matter which version of that you're doing, you'll have to require trial and error of the program, or value the shadow of that object. If that thing is a drop of a photon, an apple, or a hadron collider, you can expect the results to share gravity and similarities, symmetries, and all kinds of other fun stuff. You'll know that because the wave operator position will be in this forward operating position, ready to deal with the WIMP particle and how to deal with the neutral states or any friction that's inside of that to actually say 0 is the correct answer, and the amount of proportion its load inside of this projectile is as you ramp it up to make collisions in terms of the variable. Both elements, plutonium and calcium, making fluovium. Now, here's the game. If you'd like to go find, dig it, and try lithium while you're at it on the periodic table, you're more than welcome to. Probably got some lensing to it, Hawking radiation, heat, friction to those elements that make a difference. It may not blow it up, but it certainly makes the feeds and speeds of this thing getting sloppy pretty intense. Probably remember this guy right here. This is going to be your black body problem in terms of this thing ripping down the road, and timelines and adjusted systems that first have to be modeled.
Absolutely not. Matter of fact, the average
They have to be modeled. This is blind study. Without this piece of paper to say you ran it through there, kind of says you didn't do nothing at all. Okay, this is Bernoulli's house right here, talking about certain congruencies between electromagnetism, triple body problems, shift in directions, mass, spin. We'll get into more of that here in a minute, and what's in the pipes before we blow off the roof of the house or rip it off, because the pressure differentials don't quite have the lensing of the NTF we're talking about, its value, and the end of that thing before it would redshift any standard models or their projectile momentums inside of the axiom of their spin value, or how things are keeping a tick inside of here coming at you. A little bit more complicated, but I'm moving fast. Some of these states are compressible. You would think something like TREDDOCS or land nav or anything couldn't be necessarily composed in one 5x8 sheet of paper. And it's a bit of organization of the PCB board and the organization of how you look at this problem and how you might have to orientate your mods to adjust inside of the system to correctly adjust to the wave function or their values at the time, which we all agree would be a gravitational model on that field if we're watching something move. Blow through here a little bit. The idea would be gambits at a terminator phase like this would share the same OP brief to the land nav, house, variable, gambit design, or business models that you might have to integrate or change to actually function. Here, landscaper, mathematician, chess player, here, business, economics, and the other models that go into whatever value of the metrics on this periodic table would correlate to their model. What is up valued at the moment, they're charmed, correlate to some similar concepts, and whether that concept is topped. Every time we do it, it hits, and that would correlate to anybody that's also invert squared to that, down, strange, or bottom to those models, and therefore how to adjust to something like manic bipolar, schizo, or the chemistry necessary to tear down lithium batteries and recycle inside of the system being the gambit. It's still a step. It's still a model. It's still a variable system on the system for what it is. Now, again, I encourage a little bit of fun. There's some realities of things we have to contend with out there in the real world. Simple enough concepts to be able to adjust inside of the system while valuing the spin ratio, charm, or index on people or where they come from and how it comes in and what we're going to do with it. But it's a railgun. Look at that. Pressure gauges and feeds and speeds work from this way as well. And there are many models in the mill of jobs, costs, systems, multiple ways to train models and systems through these variables of the mills. Strap in.
It was